What? Read about that hideous murder, profane, disgusting murder. That poor old lady.
What a shock!
Seen walking with her daughter, the moment car to slaughter, the shepherd tending to her flock. She died in a boggy slum, a slave to martyrdom.
She died without complaint.
She's gone back home to God.
It all seems very odd. Why should it be this mystery? Murder, murder in the night air. Murder, murder. It's a nightmare. Murder, murder. It's a right scare. Bloody murder in the night. Murder, murder. Heart thump. Murder, murder. Nerves jump. Murder, murder. Blood pump. Bloody murder in the night.
What are we going to do, my friend? What? Another murder?
Well, catching such a madman could be hard.
Kill it will. Seems to me he's got ability.
Brains and skill.
He'll kill us if we let him.
They better go and get him.
I know a way to net him.
How?
Murder, no matter who they're blaming, till they put what's his name in. It's gonna be, it's gonna be, it's gonna be, it's gonna be a real chore. Murder, murder, on your doorstep. Murder, murder, so watch your step. Murder, murder, take one more step, you'll be murdered in the night. Murder, murder, once there's one done. Murder, murder, can't be undone. Murder, murder, don't become one bloody murder in the night. In the night.
Commonwealth is now met. Harold W. Clark, Chairman presiding.
That is correct.
Also in attendance, Behavioral Specialist Dr. Alan Richards.
Yes, here.
Resource Director Lisa Glossop.
Present.
Chief Compliance Officer Mr. Harvey Franklin.
Yes, present and accounted for.
And the order of business shall be conducted by the Secretary to the Board of Governors, Mr. Simon Stride.
An emergency meeting, Harold. This better be worth my time.
I called this meeting at the behest of Lady Glossop.
Can we get on with it? I have 2 other emergency meetings I must attend.
Oh, relax, Alan. I'm sure your lady friends will wait for you. As per your request, Lisa, the floor is yours.
My fellow colleagues, as you know, I am a firm believer in the foundational premise of the goodness of man.
Well, Lisa, if you want, we could take a little walk. I'll show you 1,236 reasons to believe otherwise. Harvey. Certainly you know this institution only has 1,230.
Gentlemen, please. Lisa, continue.
I am committed to the rehabilitation of our inmates through proper uses of medicinal restorative treatments.
With all due respect, Lady Glossop, this is a penal institution, not an animal shelter.
Lisa, we certainly are in favor of a sustained curbing of repugnant behavior. But quite frankly, that is why we have correctional facilities. Because our patrons are continually lending credence to the premise that, well, man is basically evil.
Precisely. That is why I am committed to the rehabilitation of our inmates, and I have invited an esteemed psychologist whose practice examines the inner workings of the human mind and personality, why people think and behave as they do. he has made some recent discoveries that, if enacted, they could possibly put Commonwealth DOC at the forefront of success ratios and position us for increased grant funding. Dr. Jennings.
Distinguished governors, Mr. Chairman, I am obliged to thank you in advance.
Dr. Jennings, would you please dispense with all the niceties and get right down to the matter at hand?
Certainly, Mr. Franklin. Forgive my good manners. Distinguished governors, in late 1885, an author by the name of Robert Louis Stevenson penned a novel entitled The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. His theses and mine at times coincide and at times collide. I'll explain. In his premise, Dr. Jekyll believed that within each one of us resides two separate natures, two distinct personalities, one good and one evil, one dark and one light. Why, it's the curse of mankind that these two extremes would be constantly at war. Now, in this, we coincide. Dr. Jekyll went on to explain, it is clear to me now that we now have the power to divide this primitive duality of man into its separate components, to isolate what is functional from what is dysfunctional. He explained that his treatment took on the form of rare drugs, precisely combined and administered through a hypodermic needle. A magic potion, if you will. And now in this, we collide.
Dr. Jennings, would you please just get to the point?
Certainly, Mr. Franklin. Now, Dr. Jekyll, while on the right track, was limited in his studies in 1885. We, however, gentlemen, in the 20th century, what we have discovered is the power of nature and nurture. In other words, sirs, the power of environment. I believe that with the proper adjustments of surroundings, along with the aid of certain medicinal advancements, we can quite literally change a person's life.
Drugs, Dr. Jennings? Are you suggesting we give the inmates more drugs?
Certainly you understand, Mr. Chairman, that there are many drugs that help curb the behavior of individuals. For instance, hyperactive children are given one form of drug, while the clinically depressed are given something completely different.
Well, as chairman of this board, I understand that at best, these claims are overstated, and at worst, they are complete disasters. Dr. Jennings, drugs or your so-called medicinal advancements are certainly not the answer.
Hear, hear. Such methods can't hope to change a person's corrupt nature. More often, they merely aid in the addiction to more drugs. And Dr. Jennings, what is this environment nonsense?
Don't you see, gentlemen? Man is basically a product of his environment. Why, if you raise a child around poverty and substance abuse, he is likely to become a thief and a drug addict. But if you raise a child around opulence, opportunity, and education,
well, then you raise an embezzler with an addiction to prescription drugs.
Dr. Jennings, do you have a request? What is your request from us?
that I would be allowed to experiment on a human being from this prison.
What?
One that has been cast off by society as worthless.
Experiment on a human being like a laboratory rat? What? Keep him confined to controlled scenarios?
Train him, change him, and release him back into society.
Doctor, are you out of your mind?
I can change an individual with the help of drugs, environment, and education.
We change them right here with justice and punishment.
You seem to be treading on dangerous ground. In legal terms, I'd say completely unsound.
Oh, this whole thing is barbaric and odd. You are playing with fire when you start to play God.
The officer speaks for all of us when he says that you're playing God. There is such a thing as ethics, over which you ride roughshod. You're a doctor, not a savior. But I can tell by your behavior, you can't tell the two apart.
Give me a man and I will show you.
Dr. Jennings, Are your methods proven?
My fellow colleagues, I have been listening with great
Are
restraint.
they proven?
Why, yes. Of course they are. However, I will admit that my theories and my studies are somewhat inconclusive. But I don't see any other way to change an individual.
Well, I do. It's called the Department of Corrections.
Dear Board of Governors, Dr. Jennings' request is simple. If successful, it could provide us with international recognition. A murderer was caught 2 weeks ago.
Really?
A criminal. An outcast of society. Let us allow him to be released to Dr. Jennings.
He's a murderer.
Distinguished colleagues, members of the board, a vote is in order. Your verdicts, please. How do you vote on this extraordinary request of Dr. Jennings? I vote yay. Mr. Franklin.
The man is out of his mind. Nay.
Dr. Richards.
This is extraordinary. It's amazing. I want to see how it comes out. I say yay. Very yay.
Mr. Stride.
Sir, this is untenable. This is absolutely preposterous. Oh, dear. I'm with Mr. Franklin. I vote nay.
Well, Lady Glossop, it looks like the fate of Dr. Jennings' little experiment rests in your vote.
Dr. Jennings' office. Oh, I'm sorry. He's not available at the moment. Could I take a message? Okay. Uh-huh. All right. Okay, I will let him know. You have a great day.
Our time is about up, Edward. We'll meet again tomorrow. I believe that you can change.
Do you think you can change Dr. Jennings?
Why do I feel like I know you?
You don't recognize me, do you?
No.
You will. You will.
You may sign out if you like.
He gives me the creeps.
Yeah, me too. Heather, do you have the progress reports? These are updated?
Yes.
There's no change. There's no change.
Oh.
It's not working. There must be another way.
Oh, By the way, Dr. Richards called to give his congrats, such as he called it, a remarkable step forward in scientific experimentation.
Heather, I am not simply experimenting on human beings. I am trying to find ways to help people change their lives. Haven't you ever wanted to change?
Yes, I would love to change.
Dr. Jennings, I'm sorry that I didn't stop by sooner, but I've been extensively involved in institutional issues. So, how are things going? Dr. Jennings?
Miss Glossop, hello. Not good. There's something that's been bothering me. I lied. 2 weeks ago, I lied to the board when I was questioned about my methods. They are not proven. As a matter of fact, I disproved my own methods by lying to them.
Dr. Jennings, at the beginning of an action, I may not be able to determine whether that action is morally right or wrong. But when the right goals are successfully achieved, then the steps that led to it must be right too.
The ends justify the means.
Precisely, Doctor. Now, how are things going with your patient?
Not good.
Your subject is not cooperating?
No, he won't be honest. I can't obtain truth from him. And because of that, it's almost as if he's unwilling to change. Almost as if he's...
unable to change.
Yes, precisely.
Because he can't, Doctor. And he won't.
I'm sorry?
Dr. Jennings, these types are worthless to society.
But you said you believed in change.
There is a segment of society that is corrupt. For various reasons, but nevertheless corrupt. DOCs were created to protect, well, normal individuals from these derelicts. They are apprehended, incarcerated, and removed from public thoroughfares. An isolated habitation for them all would be ideal. Perhaps then they would eliminate each other. But for now, we must be content with pursuits that indicate marginal advancements for sustained compensations.
Money. Is that all this is about to you, is money?
And prestige. We appreciate your heartfelt endeavors, Doctor, but deep down inside, you must realize, as do we, that they cannot change. They do not have the power to change. And neither do you by some silly theory of nature, nurture, and pills. Quite frankly, Doctor, I think I'd rather believe in Dr. Jekyll's magical potion idea. It certainly seems more plausible. Do you think you can change that creature that the board entrusted you with, Doctor?
I thought that was my objective.